Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You join me right now at about 2:30 in the morning. I guess it's just one of those, mornings you decide to go for a little drive, and here we are, making videos. The main reason for that is because I've had I suppose a reality come to my mind this morning. I'm going to be speaking to you about it, sharing my thoughts and opinions throughout this video. As a lot of my recent videos have been, this video relates to the UK, and specifically the UK housing market. We're going to go sit in the car for this one. The lighting is going to be significantly worse, but hopefully you guys are still able to listen to the story, as it is very cold out here, and I'd like to explain this in some degree of comfort. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the UK housing market, something that I've spoken about before in the channel, because what we see in the comments section, and therefore likely what we see in our housing market as a whole, is a very mixed system in a sense. Whenever I make a video about housing in the UK, the cost of housing, the cost of living, I get two different types of people. I get what I assume is going to be your average working person, someone like myself, someone probably like you guys. If you're watching this video, this probably relates to you. The average working person just trying to get by, and the person who's noticed that the cost of everything is massively increasing. Then we get other people, the people who say, the cost has not gone up that much. Young people are lazy. Now it's really gone dark, guys. I do apologise for the lighting quality, but hopefully the video is going to be decent enough for it. I'll try to turn this light on. Yeah, so we get a very big discrepancy there. Young people are lazy, they don't want to work, and the cost of living's not gone up by that much. So like I say, by speaking specifically about young people, the people inside comment section outline essentially their own age. And these are the people who are most likely to own their own house. You see, the biggest increase in the cost of living here in the UK recently has been the cost of housing, undeniably. As I know a lot of you guys have shared with me in the comment section, you can relate to the fact that even in, most of the cities now, you're paying at least sometimes 600, 700, 800 for a place, or in some cases even just a room share. And if you live in one of the biggest cities, say somewhere like Manchester or especially London, and you want to live by yourself in what could be considered a small apartment, you could be looking at £1,000 plus. This doesn't even factor in any of your bills, your food, or heaven forbid having a life and actually having the opportunities to go out and have some fun. People who work full time in a lot of instances are having issues and problems paying for what you might call a standard quality of life, right? And I know that these things like, going out on the weekend, having nice clothes, they're all luxuries. But this is the UK, right? A country where the average salary is supposedly something like 37k, and the minimum wage for a full-time worker is something like 25. The biggest cost of most people's bills is their housing. If you eliminate the cost of housing here in the UK, the cost of living might not be so high. Again, if we factor in, let's say, £700 a month for rent, let's say 6, we'll even say 5, but realistically, you guys know as I do, 700 to 800 to 900 is more like the realities. It's also very noisy out here. I've decided to come outside for a minute to kind of refilm, but we are kind of right next to a motorway, so I guess it's a sacrifice of, do we want the darkness or do we want the noise? And I'm afraid, guys, I'm going to go back to the darkness. I tried to change it up, but as I was saying, you eliminate that, let's say 700 from your outgoings, and you'll be magically left with a lot left in income. So when old people say this, they fail to understand how much the cost of housing has gone up. And you guys can go on YouTube and see who's really making a living or a laugh at the minute, a killing, right? A lot of the time it's the landlords. Now here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Are landlords inherently unethical? I would say probably not, right? As long as they're providing decent quality housing, clean housing, affordable housing, and housing that's up to standards. There are some obviously unscrupulous landlords. You guys don't need me to tell you that. But is being a landlord itself inherently bad? I would say no. But who's really making a killing at the minute? It's a lot of the landlords. Now, some of them aren't. Some of them themselves are dealing with higher costs, cost of insurance, taxes, difficult tenants, and all the like, right? But think about this, because this is where it gets really interesting. Even though the cost of housing in the UK is really kind of out of line, you know, to buy a house even, what's the average house price now? Something like 250k? Yeah, that is significantly out of what most people can afford. But compared to how it all works out when you figure it in, right? People are paying upwards of 12 grand a month in some cases, and that's not that rare. Not a month. 2 a.m. brain speaking, guys. Forgive me. People are paying upwards of 12 grand a year to live in a house that they don't own, that they will never own, and that they can get kicked out of at any point. Whilst it's expensive to buy a house in the UK, we're in a situation here where we've got to ask, what do we as young people think is going to happen with the housing market? And I say as young people because we're the ones which have got to plan for our future. You know, if you guys are 40, 50, 60, and I know a lot of people in this age bracket still do have it tough. I'm not saying anything otherwise. But if you're in this young age bracket like me and you want to have a relatively decent cost of living and you've decided that you want to live in the UK, what options do you have? And this is where it becomes a bit of a two-tier system, because landlords, you could make the argument at the minute, are profiting from higher rents. Again, their costs may be going up. It obviously depends on circumstances. But a lot of landlords are making money. And of course, on top of that, their actual asset, the house asset, whether a house is an asset in reality, different discussion. But the cost of what they own is going up. The value of what they own is going up. And they win. At the same time, younger people who either have saved up or have parental support, so people who may have, built up X amount in savings or something like that, they can benefit from a mortgage. Now, why does a mortgage actually present a very interesting opportunity in today's market? Because what we're seeing in a lot of instances, guys, and this is true, this is so true, if you guys know this is the case, right? Rents are going up, in some cases, 10, 15, 20% a year. And I personally know a lot of people who are living just on that edge, to the point where if their rent goes up another 20, 30%, which is not unlikely, they are not going to be able to survive, because their wages aren't going to go up 20% in the next 2 years, most likely not. Their income is not going to go up by 20%, most likely not. So they're going to be finished if it happens. Then we've got the people who can afford a mortgage, right? They can lock in at a certain rate. And of course, we've got mortgage rates and interest and all that sort of stuff. But, let's say even mortgage rates are at X percent, right? Whatever the number is, it still makes more sense in a lot of cases to get a mortgage. Now, this is where the problem comes in, guys. And this is where the real divide comes in that we need to speak about. Because whilst it seems unrealistic at the minute to many people, it's not impossible in my opinion. And I'm only young, so maybe I'm just misguided, but I don't think it's impossible at all that we could see rents in the average city now hitting 1k a month in somewhere like, let me think, somewhere like Leeds, right? Average. And people say, well, that's kind of far from where it is now. But then you start to think about it, guys. They've already hit that in London. They've already hit that in a lot of parts of Manchester and some parts of Leeds anyway. Who's to say it's not going to become the new normal? We've just seen them going up and up and up. And again, people who own the houses are the ones making this margin. The trouble with the UK housing market right now, and again, I'm not saying that people should get a mortgage, shouldn't get a mortgage. It's obviously not that simple. You're going to need some money for a deposit. But, whether it's any sort of view you want to present, it's going to come with its benefits and its issues. But being a renter in the UK right now is a very difficult position to be in. There are many issues with owning a house. But a lot of the people who I speak to in the comments and stuff like that, they're certain that they want to live in the UK. It's a place that they want to be in for the next, probably for the rest of their lives. And of course, why not? It's a great country. But the whole rental game, I don't see a vision where most people are not going to get priced out. I think it is almost inevitable. With the way things are going, it seems to be almost inevitable that most people will become priced out of the market. And I don't know, guys. But what I'm trying to say is the UK housing market here it's in a really worrying position. And I'm going to make a few more videos on this topic in more detail, speaking about the intricacies of this. Obviously, like I say, I'm very tired today, so perhaps my thinking skills aren't as good as I would like them to be. Perhaps I'm going to be told in the comment section that I just spent 10 minutes talking nonsense. But what I'm trying to say here, to sum up my point, right, because I want to make a video here, and I think this makes sense, even if I am tired, even if it's not as succinct as one of my normal videos. The point that I want to make here is this: the housing market in the UK is becoming a very, very difficult place to both enter, maintain, and even survive in. As a young person myself, I think if you want to live in the UK, we are seeing this big divide. People who can afford a mortgage are securing themselves a property at what may be, again, markets can crash, but what may be a significantly cheaper price over the next 25, 30 years. And paying off a property over that long may present its own issues. Again, we can make a counter argument to this. But people who are in the rental market, they're the ones who are really, really losing right now. The value of the asset is going up. They don't own it. In a lot of cases, like I say, they are paying upwards of 10,000, 12,000 a year to essentially put money into an asset that they will never own. And they're at the mercy of being kicked out. They're at the mercy of landlords. They're at the mercy of rent hikes and all of this sort of stuff. I think, guys, if there is a sacrifice to make here in the UK housing market right now, and again, some people may agree, some people may disagree, the answer might absolutely be putting money aside as much as possible, again, specifically for my young people. Maybe sacrificing our time if that's what we choose to do. Maybe sacrificing our essentially just trying to put as much money into securing a mortgage as we can. I don't know, guys. This is a video where I don't really have the answer. Sometimes I make a video where I have an opinion, I have an answer, I have something that I want to say as a direct point. But here I don't have an answer, right? Is getting a mortgage the only way to secure decent housing prices here in the UK? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know, but just like the jobs market, where it's absolutely an employer's market, in the sense that employers have the opportunity to hire whoever they want, because there's not that many jobs going. People have to basically take whatever they can get. Similar with the housing. It seems like a very worrying situation either way, guys. But when rents are rising so high, is essentially trying to buy a house the only safe option? I don't know. I don't have the answer to this point. Again, maybe I've just spent 12 minutes, 30 minutes talking nonsense. I don't know. I just wanted to make a quick video, and I really want to ask you your opinion. Maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't. Maybe I'll have to make a follow-up video explaining my thoughts more. But the UK housing market seems to be a very difficult place right now, and if you're not an owner, the gap is widening. House prices are going up more and more. Rent prices are going up more and more. And unfortunately, you know, houses and housing has been privatized. It's absolutely been commercialized, and it's been turned into a financial asset rather than just a place to live. Unfortunately, now most people's retirements and most people's personal wealth is completely based around the price of their house. And, you know, a lot of the people who own houses, a lot of the older people who own houses, they need the price of that property to keep rising to have any hope of maintaining a genuine wealth, right? A lot of people factor the house into their wealth, and it rockets their wealth by a factor of, you know, multiple times. It's crazy. It's crazy how much weight people put on housing financially. It's crazy how much house prices are increasing, but it seems like right now, guys, the only option may be to look into buying, especially for young people. And I know that most people can't afford that. I know it's a very difficult option for most people. But there is no easy answer in today's market. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a weird video. I know it's been perhaps a bit more of a rant. I'm sat like in the complete darkness. The optics aren't very good. But it's just been a thought that's come to my mind. I'm probably going to evaluate on this in a few more videos. The UK housing market is a very difficult market to be in. And I don't know the answer. Is it to buy a house? Is it to just keep renting? Is it to move overseas? I hear a lot of people saying that, but a lot of people don't want to. A lot of people love the UK and want to stay here, so what do those people do? Let me know in the comments, guys. I'm sure there's a lot more people more qualified, more educated, and more experienced than me. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts and opinions. I know I make opinion-based videos, and I need you guys to know that, right? If you watch until the end, please know that. In these videos, I do not think I am right. I'm just sharing a thought, an opinion that comes to mind. So if you know the answer, let me know in the comments. Thank you for your time, and I hope I'll see you again.